May I remind you that trading is risky and not suitable for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Welcome to QuantBox Daily. Today is Monday, October 17th. Okie dokie. Hope you had a nice weekend and you spent some time going through your journal for last week, looking at trades you won, looking at trades you lost, making adjustments, tightening up your controls so that you can get more consistency and ultimately become a more confident trader. What's in store for the week ahead? Well, let's have a look and see. So fundamentally, we can see euro dollar, no change, still bearish. Paying attention to the technicals here, not a lot of movement, indicating sideways. We'll look at the charts in a second. Pound dollar, we remain bearish. USDCAD, remain bullish. Some move down, then some move up. Aussie USD, we remain bearish. Some move up, down, some slight move up, down, or continue down. We'll take a look at that today. Kiwi dollar, we remain neutral, so we're going to leave that alone. Remember, if you don't have a fundamental bias, don't trade the currency pair. Aussie yen, we can see a move higher and down, or continue down, or continue down. Okay, we'll take a look at that in a moment. CAD yen remains neutral. Euro yen remains neutral. Pound yen remains neutral. And Kiwi yen remains neutral. So, look, we leave those alone. Okay, we leave those alone. So it's pretty much the same as last week. Not much change. Let's take a look at the charts technically. So from a daily perspective, you know, I'm still looking at this and saying, man, oh man, oh man, wouldn't it be nice to just get a nice pullback so we can sell, right? Resistance, 21 EMA, roll reversals, central, M3, M55, etc., etc. Personally, would love to see a pullback to then sell, right? Need to go up to go down. From an H4 perspective, you can see counter trend trade at Asia Open, taking it up to the central. Okay, price opening below that S2. And looking at the chart at the moment, not keen to use 21 EMA because of the trend situation. You can see here looking pretty sideways. Okay. Last week, we spoke about potentially counter trending this off of the profit taking zone. I reminded you that the only counter trend that Wayne does is when price opens below an S2 or above an R2. Okay, it's a safer trade. Better to do that. Otherwise, just continue trading in line with your fundamentals. So we got a weekly central over here. We got a weekly M3. We got a 21. But the problem with the 21 is that we want to use dynamic resistance in a trend, and price not making this lower low down here and coming up above this resistance here, and then tasting that as support. Not feeling really great about this being. Maybe there might be some scalping, sure, but just be careful, right? Things are slowing down. Looking at the H1 time frame, there could be some scalping here. Okay, you could take a look at the M15, M5, get a lower low, lower high, and then take that down. But just be aware of the fact that things have slowed down quite significantly. Okay, you can see this sideways, sideways, sideways. Price comes down, price comes up, price comes down. We didn't make a lower low to come and make a lower high, right? Be aware of that. Be careful. But you still got resistance and still bearish, and so ultimately you got complements of daily and monthly over there. Sorry, daily and weekly over there. You got a daily M3, you got daily R1, you got an weekly M3 over there. In terms of resistance, you can see price is currently at resistance. Personally, you can see that's actually closed above that. I only sell lower highs if price made a lower low. And my concern is, why are we suddenly stopping out at the bottom of this range? Look at an M15 chart. You can see how, would you call that a trend? I would say that's sideways, right? You'd even actually say this low looks higher than this, right? So just be careful, be aware of that. Okay. Looking at euro dollar. Last week, I still said I'm not a fan of this 21 EMA because we didn't make a lower low. And you can see now price bouncing on the H4 time frame, definitely indicating a lot better. You can see, look at the consolidation. You've got bulls over here who are looking, trying to take it up, bears trying to take it down. This feels like the middle of the range. And in the meantime, lots of consolidation here. 21.55 totally useless to you, okay, because you're not in a trend. However, bearish. So you got your weekly M3. You got resistance over here. It's a trickier trade. So what you might want to do is sort of say, well, you know, has price closed at resistance? You can see this 4 o'clock candle has not closed at resistance. So maybe wait for a further candle, like maybe New York Stock Exchange. Wait for price to close some kind of resistance, and then look at a lower time frame and sort of compare that, or confirm that, verify that down, right? So you can see here, let's go with these lines, sideways. However, if you're in an M15 chart, you get lower low, lower high. You could take that down. We are currently in bearish territory. You are bear fundamentally. So, you know, if you get an indication of movement, you could take a scalp, maybe a day trade down to the DM1, but you definitely verify that. Right now, I wouldn't be doing any trading unless I definitely get like lower lows and lower highs and some indication of volatility, some indication of momentum. And I would like that to start with some level of resistance on my higher time frame. Okay. So something that tells me, again, this 4 o'clock candle closing down, can't close at resistance. So maybe, you know, if we closed over here or closed over here or closed wherever the case may be, resistance, verify that lower time frame, get that lower low, lower high. Maybe you can take price down to the weekly target. Perhaps you could take price down to the daily target. You can see that we've got confluence. Let's see what we got here. This is weekly M2. So weekly targets are down here. Perhaps. But just be aware of the fact, look at overall, very, very sideways. So you're not looking for long-term trades in this market currently. Definitely shorter term trades, scalping, day trades, something along those lines. Just be aware of the volatility. Pound dollar, we're still bearish fundamentally. Okay, you can see the daily not looking great. We've definitely slowed down quite significantly. Look at that 4-hour time frame, definitely slowed down quite significantly. Weekly M3 though, you are still a bear. Weekly M3, weekly R1 to weekly S1, weekly R1, weekly S1, great pivots for when you're in a sideways market. Weekly M3, just be aware again, if you are going to take a trade, just make sure that somewhere you find a lower low, lower high. Okay. So for example, if let's say you're looking at the M15 time frame, get a lower low, lower high, right? M5, lower low, lower high. And then just take it down until sometimes it indicates that the bearishness is over. Right? I.e. price breaks resistance, resistance becomes support, higher high, higher low, something along those lines. Kiwi dollar neutral, fundamentally, we leave that alone. USDCAD bullish, okay. From a daily perspective, not really in a great position to be buying. Definitely not. Look at that close of last Friday, closing all the way up here. It's the same as the Aussie USD. I'd love to see a pullback down to some kind of support. Very, very choppy, very, very bouncy. Your support is down weekly M2. The 21 EMA, not great. Look at how this high is not higher than that high. If you're going to buy a higher low, make sure you're trading it after a higher high. And this is telling a really strange story. Look at how it goes like higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, lower high. Okay, something's wrong with this bullish trend. But fundamentally, you remain bullish. So I wouldn't sell. But just be careful. If you're going to buy, make sure you set that trade up properly. Okay. Now you're looking for a higher high, higher low, lower time frame, and you want to be coming off supports, higher time frame. All right. And again, shorter term trades, you definitely aren't looking to take those into massive weekly or monthly swings. Unless you get indication lower time frames that the trade that you're in has continued moving in that direction and the integrity of that trade is not broken. I.e., if you're buying, you don't have any lower lows and lower highs. If you're selling, you've got no higher highs and higher lows. There are no higher lows in a bearish trend. There are no lower highs in a bullish trend. Okay. This is Aussie yen. You can see pretty much sideways, coming down, coming back up, bottom of that range respected. We saw that last week and really, really choppy. You can see here sort of going down, then coming up. We are bearish though. So resistance is M3, R1, M4, central. 21.55 dead to us because you can see there's no real trend here. You can see sideways, flat, low momentum. The H1 time frame, same story. Again, you are a bear, so daily M3 is resistance. You got a couple of levels of resistance here. Price action wise, there's lots of choppiness here, lots of stuff to see. So what you could be doing is looking at the lower time frames, using your pivot points and saying, well, give me a lower low, lower high, M15, M5. And, then you could take this down to a daily target. Again, shorter term trades today. All right. So if you do get into trades, just have a plan for how you're getting in, have a plan for how you're getting out, and stick to that plan. All right. I don't think today needs to be game hunting. I think right now we're sort of doing a bit of rabbit hunting. Be aware of what you're doing, have that plan. And remember, don't trade with fear or greed. Just be like, okay, well, I am a bear. This is resistance. I verified at lower time frame, and I'm going to get out over here. Bottom of the range, or daily target, whatever the case may be. And then when price gets down to that area, either your take profit is there, or you're looking for an indication of bullishness when price gets there, and that's your indication to get out. Do not counter trend trade. Stay true to your bias. Make sure your tactics are solid, and make sure your strategy is clear from the start. So you have an idea of how you're going to get in and how you're going to get out, and stick to that plan. And the nice thing is that if you don't get any lower lows, lower highs, and lower time frames on any of the charts, of course, USDCAD going up, so higher high, higher low, then you wouldn't end up taking that trade, and that's okay. I'd rather be out of a trade I wish I was in than in a trade I wish I was out of. Okay? Capital conservation is your number one priority. Without powder in the gun, you can't shoot. So keep the powder dry. If you are going to use it, make sure you have a target in sight, your aim is steady and true, and that you know exactly what you're going to do if you hit it. All right. So having a look at QuantBox, any other things that we could be paying attention to? If we look at cross currencies, let's take a look at our dashboard. We can see here 10-year Turkish lira, CAD, Swissy, dollar yen. I don't trade dollar Swissy and dollar yen because they're seen as both funding currencies. Dollar CAD we've looked at. Okay, the sells gold, Aussie Kiwi. I wouldn't trade those together because Aussie and Kiwi for me are the same thing. Euro dollar we've looked at, Aussie USD we've looked at, and pound dollar we've looked at. We can take a look at gold. All right. Now, just again, on gold, be aware of your market opens in terms of when you're trading and at what time. Perhaps a New York session would be better for gold. Let's have a look and see if we can spring up. I'll just use an Aussie USD for gold. Let's go to watch list actually. Let's just bring it over here. So let's look at it like this. And now that should be fine. Let's get rid of this. Let's do this. And let's get daily time frame here, H4 over here, and H1 over here. Okay, cool. Let's just change this to monthly pivots. Let's change this to weekly. Let's change this to daily. Okay, cool. So gold, we're bearish. You can see there again. Look at the time. Look at the story that's being told to you on the daily time frame. Okay, we didn't make a lower low, close of Friday. Right, would have loved to have seen that. On the H4 time frame, you can see here, price coming down, price coming back up, price coming down, price coming back up, price coming down. We're not in bearish territory right now. Could you sell at 21 with that being a lower low, lower than that? Well, we got to verify that the price didn't close any kind of support. Let's have a look and see where this closed. Okay, you got a bottom of a range here. Not a big fan of that. Okay, let's have a look and see what we've got lower time frames. Again, probably a better setup for New York, waiting for the pits to open. So up here's your resistance, daily's resistance. Got a couple of levels of resistance. You could also just be scalping lower time frame, making sure when you take the trade, you're looking at your higher time frames. That price isn't at support currently. So if you're waiting for a lower low, lower high, also be aware of where you're taking the trade in terms of position and where you're getting out. Okay. You don't want to have a trade that you sell and it pulls back. Well, of course, you wouldn't have a tight stop, so you should be okay if your stop's over there. But ultimately, you wouldn't want to get stuck in a sideways situation because then that takes up your liquidity. You're stuck in a trade that's not going anywhere on gold. You can't take a trade in anything else. So be careful. Now, of course, if this closes down, comes back up, closes at resistance, you're a bear. So resistance, what you're looking for. Just verify things lower time frame. Make sure nothing's bullish. Everything's bearish when you sell. But again, I think shorter term trades are the order for this week, at least today. Be aware of how you're getting in, be aware of how you're getting out. Be aware of, are you currently at the bottom of a range? Are you at the top of a range? Are you selling a role reversal? Like what type of trade are you taking and how are you getting out of that trade? How are you taking profits, right? If we look at an M15 chart, you can see this does look like a lower low compared to that, okay? No doubt there's some traders fibbing this. If we look left, we can see price chilling of the support over here. So be sure of the fact that we should get some support coming up. Just be aware of that. Be careful, right? That's why I'm saying if you sell a lower high, then you as long as you verify that lower high, you're in a much better shape. Okay, you then know that you're trading a bearish trend. You're going to have a 21 below 55, good angle of separation, and at least you know the trade won't be like a couple of pips. You know, you could at least go down to a profit-taking zone or take it down slightly further. So my suggestion this week on everything you trade, make sure you look for the trend. Make sure you look for that lower low, lower high, or the higher high, higher low. Make sure that when you're selling, price is not at support in a higher time frame, and make sure that when you are selling, that everything is bearish across everything, right? You look at this daily candle, and from last week, I don't see the daily closing at resistance. Okay, that concerns me. Like, you know, why we're going to sell? Why we're selling so low? Okay, H4 currently in bullish area. There's a whole bunch of reasons why I'd say maybe just chill. But ultimately, what really saves you is if there's no lower low, lower high, then just wait. Let's see how today goes, friends. And let's see how this week goes. In terms of news, what have we got for this week? Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. So on our dollar, so we've got some euro stuff coming out today. Okay, cool. And let's just see on the USD. Some medium news later today. Some other stuff. So there's some US news coming out today, some low and some medium. Let's see how that goes. Okay. Nothing too crazy. So maybe it's just September. Wayne did say at the start of the month that September tends to not be the most amazingly productive month. So it's a good month to make sure that you're careful. It's a good month to make sure that if you do trade, just make sure you have things that keep you out of bad trades. And that's why I say, if you're at resistance, you get a lower low, lower high, lower time frame. That's beautiful. If you have support, you get a high, 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 low, lower time frame. That's beautiful, right? Those types of trades really, really pay off. And it keeps you out of the low volatility, sideways, nonsense, boomerang trades, right? I was saying to a student of mine yesterday, because I do one-on-one coaching with one of my students on a Sunday, I was saying a family member gave me a boomerang for Christmas last year. I've been trying to get rid of it ever since. Don't trade boomerang trades. Rather trade trends, okay? Much, much, much better, much more profitable. And also it means your frequency is reduced and you won't end up in a situation where suddenly you end up trading something like this, where you might sell over here and it pops up, or you're selling over here and it pops up, or whatever the case may be. A lot of people don't pay attention to their position when they're trading. You know, you look at situations like this where let's look and see. Let's see. Like, look at that nice trade over there. Right? Look at that beautiful trade there. If you waited for that lower low, lower high, you got into that trade and boom, that's your profit, right? At resistance, wait patiently. M15, you can also see on M15, that's set up there nicely as well. Let's have a look and see. So M15, yeah, so it's more of a 5-minute trade, really. That's okay. I suppose there there it is over there. There's your resistance. Price hits a resistance, you take it down. Okay. That's a nice trade. All right. Roll reversals. Trading a trend in some time frame somewhere. Much better. Good luck today. Keep it clean. Stay safe. And remember, all the things you reviewed this weekend, all the mistakes you made last week, do not repeat them this week. Otherwise, you're just standing still, going backwards. You want to move forwards. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.